The good news is Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz are back in an action comedy. The bad news is it's a Netflix action comedy.
This is not as obnoxiously glib as Red Notice, but it's definitely in that subgenre.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we'll get into it. Go on.
Yes,
Tell
they're
us what
occupying the same space with each other,
sure,
at least.
yeah.
We can say that about it. Yeah. You got to subscribe. We are here for you for all of the January doldrums. And boy, is this ever. This was supposed to come out in November of last year, actually. And they bumped it to the second week in January. So make of that what you will.
Did you see what we just saw?
Did you see what we just did?
Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx are ex-spies. A flashback at the beginning shows us the mission that went wrong, where they also happen to fall in love with each other, and that's all like big CGI like stuff. It's
so the fakiest
glossy,
plane crash you ever saw.
Glossy, detached, empty visual effects. So 15 years later, they're living a quiet, mundane life in the suburbs. They have 2 kids. They have a 14-year-old named Alice, who is surly and sneaky. And they have a tween who is a rule follower and kind of a techie, and he's a nice kid. So their cover gets blown. After all this time, they've been hiding. They're like soccer coaches and they have a minivan. But no, their former handler, played by Kyle Chandler, shows up to tell them your cover's been blown. They're going to come after you. You got to go on the run. And so their kids, who thought that they were just like lame Gen Xers with bad taste in music, actually find out, oh, our parents were spies. If this sounds familiar to you, it's because you've seen some version of this movie so many times, whether it's Spy Kids or Keeping Up with the Joneses.
The Joneses, yes.
Or just the idea of like any ex-mobster in witness protection who is like fish out of water in the suburbs. Like, oh, the suburbs, oh,
My
so
blue
bland.
heaven.
So bland and safe. So they have to go on the run. Andrew Scott, like woefully miscast and underused as this MI6 agent who had a connection with them in the past. Everyone is after this super MacGuffin-y key, which can, I don't know, cause widespread power outages.
Yeah,
what it does is so bland.
It is the MacGuffiniest MacGuffin that ever MacGuffined.
It really is.
And this whole movie is so much by the numbers. I mean, the only thing that saves it from being a full-on like Red Notice ghosted catastrophe is Diaz and Fox are funny, and they get to be funny, and every so often some joke or bit lands and you're like, okay, I'm not completely slowly dying here for 2 hours. But for the most part, yeah, this is super familiar, and you know, again, Lon Harris nailed the Red Notice movie, you know, big stars, comedies that aren't funny, globe-trotting, but mostly standing in front of green screens, action scenes that are incomprehensible and inconsequential.
So bland.
You know, this is directed by Seth Gordon, who made one good documentary and then just pooped out like a series of terrible comedies, you know, Identity Thief and Baywatch and Four Christmases. Like, he's not good at this, and he is not good. This movie is not good.
Yeah. Also, it does that thing that you hate. I almost texted you while I was watching it, where they have song choices
God,
are super ironic in contrast with the violence we're seeing on screen. The most baffling of all.
And they do it. Sorry, go.
Okay, At Last by Etta James.
Yeah.
During a big firefight at a British gas station.
Yeah.
Why? Every single time. Ain't that a kick in the head when they are literally kicking people in the head? Which I guess that's
Papa's
not ironic.
got a brand new bag,
every time.
Obvious lazy needle drops, and the counterpoint of like, here's a cute classic to like a violent scene, and they do it like 5 times in this movie. It's ridiculous. This is all, I mean, this is, you know, I know it's, people like to say, oh, this feels like AI wrote it. It feels like they mad-libbed an existing script and just changed the details. There's a bit of a fun surprise when we finally get to meet Cameron Diaz's mother, who is talked about for much of the movie.
I'm not sure it's a surprise.
It was to me. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe I don't want to give it away, but
Right.
even that character winds up being a big ball of nothing.
Doesn't have a lot to do. Yeah.
Yeah, the kids never really emerge as very interesting personalities.
They were okay. They had decent comic timing, I thought.
No, the actors
one,
are fine. I'm
yeah.
just the characters never really, you know.
So that's the one thing that I think gives this like the slightest whiff of substance, or at least aiming towards substance, is like what that relationship with teens is like. Like I recognized so much of dealing with teens who are just cranky and are on the screens all the time. Like, so that, but that's not new, but at least that felt like realistic.
Sure. No,
relatable.
like the scene where the parents are singing along to one of their favorites and the kids are just like, ugh, in the back seat. Like we've seen that before, but this crew makes it work. So like every so often I was like, oh, that's actually funny, or oh, that's clever, or whatever. But for the most part, it's like, really, we're doing this, you know? So, you know, it's, if you are, it's cold and flu season. Maybe you will be on the sofa with a lot of heavy dose of NyQuil, and this would be just the thing to pop onto Netflix that you can half pay attention to.
I disagree that they have good chemistry with each other, though. A lot of that has to do with the fact that it's just not on the page. This is their third movie together. Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx. They were in Any Given Sunday many years ago.
Oh, right. And Annie, which I never saw.
Which is the last movie Cameron Diaz made, which is part of what is potentially exciting about this, is that she's not made a movie in 10 years, right? And here she brings that kind of like sunny, go for broke energy that's so appealing. But it's in the service of just nothing. She is likable. He's got kind of a sly way with a one-liner here or there. There's one Jason Bourne joke that made me laugh out loud. That was like the only funny joke in the whole movie. But for the most part, I feel like what they're called upon to do is so formulaic and so lazy, as you say, and there's nothing to them or their relationship, and I just never bought any of it.
They're playing cardboard cutouts, but they're playing them with everything they can bring to it, you know? So yeah, this is like one of those movies you see where, and I mean, this goes back, like MGM used to do this. So it's like, you like these personalities, we can stick them in anything. And here we are sticking them in anything. So yeah, like anybody could have made this movie and it would have been thoroughly forgettable. The fact that these two actors made this movie make it a little less forgettable, you know.
I wonder why, though, of all the movies in all the world, to return to the screen, whatever size it may be, why would Cameron Diaz want to make this movie of all movies? Supposedly, the lore is that Jamie Foxx said to her, "You want to just have some fun? Let's have some fun." It's a nice idea, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not like, look, it's not like we just watched The Counselor for A Table for One. Like there were tattoos that had to be applied and she's playing a whole crazy ass character. This one, it's like, yeah, she shows up and then the stunt doubles do all the heavy lifting. And so, yeah, it's just like, yeah, I'm going to hang out with my old pal Jamie Foxx in front of a bunch of green screens for a month. Why not? Netflix is paying me handsomely, you know? So I get that. But yeah, it's not a career move on her part, certainly, because this is completely disposable.
Yeah. I was as bored as Andrew Scott appeared to be the whole time.
He seemed resentful to be there.
Why is he here? No, is this like part of his like Ripley contract? Like, you're doing Ripley, but you got to do this incredibly mediocre action comedy too.
Worth it, I guess. You know, we did get Ripley out of it. So,
all right, what's your number?
Like a 4. You know, I've seen much worse in this particular subgenre, but this is not good.
I'm gonna say 2.5. Yeah, Back in Action's on there if you need to fold laundry on Netflix.